everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to do JMA Friday today, which means we're having a look at the weather coming month across the British Isles. It's going to take us well into June. We're going up to the 19th of June, can you believe, with this update. So going into the start of the summer, most definitely. We're looking at the JMA, also the CFS V2 as well, to see what both of the models are indicating might, and I emphasise the word might, be around the corner for the coming month. Before I get over that, though, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages at gadgetsurveys.com. Have a browse through the widgets. If there's any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go and read the article. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on most pages. They open out within the content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. Thanks for doing that. It's paying for the website. So thanks for getting involved and help us pay for gas weather. So let's start off with the 500 bit of our height anomaly charts from the Japanese model, broken down into weekly periods. As you know, with this, but I have to explain just in case somebody's watching for the very first time. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and sort of red, orange, yellow colours extrapolating to high pressure. So this first anomaly is taking us through the week that we're currently in, the 22nd to the 29th of May, through to the end of the month. Got a nice ridge out to the west and the southwest of the country, but the complicating factor is this deep area of low pressure up to the north, and really quite a strong jet stream coming across the country, something like that. So it's relatively settled down to the south and the southwest. It's a little bit more unsettled up to the north and the northwest. With the jet stream coming through the country, it's not going to be a heat wave. It's going to be relatively cool, really, with that sort of a setup. But overall, quite a bit of dry weather down to the south and the southwest. That's a pretty good reflection, I think, on the weather for the coming week, or the anomaly, I should say, for the coming week. Now, the next anomaly, taking us from the 29th of May through to the 5th of June, showing a little bit of a change, actually. We've got a ridge of high pressure still out to west of the country. We've also got heights building across Scandinavia as well. We've got the low pressure up to the northwest, but it's weakening around Greenland. We've also got low pressure setting up through the Mediterranean, quite unusually, really, for this time of the year. The jet stream is going a little bit like that, so it's quite a complicated pattern, that. But I think the overall message, really, and it is transitional, but the overall message is probably that heights are building, and we're probably turning drier and a little bit warmer through that period. Now, this area of low pressure down to the south is quite interesting. It may threaten some thundery rain, possibly, if it was to get close enough to the south and southeast of the country. But overall, I've got a feeling this is sort of suggesting that the ridges out to west and to the east may be getting together and forming some sort of link across the country, which, if that happens, it will settle things down, turn it drier and warmer. And then as we go through to the final 2 weekly period, it's going from the 5th of June through to the 19th of June, as I say, going well on into June, we find the above average heights setting up over the top of the country. Look at that. So high pressure is building in. Still got these below average heights down to the south and the southwest country. Also a trough reforming over Scandinavia as well. So quite how long this area of high pressure, the above average heights, would last, really I'm not sure, because I think there's a bit of a pincer movement probably going on from both the northeast and to the south and the southwest. So eventually I would assume this area of above average heights would be pretty swamped, and we'd finish up with low pressure taking over. But nevertheless, for quite a while, actually, there is indications here, certainly through the middle part of June anyway, say the 2nd and into the 3rd week of June, there is the indication there that we could get some fairly prolonged periods of dry weather with that area of above average heights building in. So pretty good news, actually, I think, this update, if you're looking for things to settle down and warm up a little bit. The mid-latitude view shows this up quite nicely. This is the first weekly period. Again, this is from the 22nd to the 29th of May. There's the area of above average heights sitting down to the west and the southwest. And as you said, the jet stream is coming through the country rather like that. You can't see what's going on particularly well up to the north and the northeast of this. The temperature anomaly, because we're bringing the jet stream through the country through the coming week, is still coming out cooler than average. So don't be expecting a heat wave by any means up to the end of May. Temperature anomaly is coming out rather cool. The rainfall anomaly is around normal, maybe a little bit drier than average. So overall, not too bad with the rainfall. We go through to the next week period, going from the 29th of May through to the 5th of June. This is a period where we've got the above average heights out to the west still, but also high pressure and above average heights building up to the northeast, somewhere around there. So I think overall we're sort of building the heights into the UK. It's still coming out with a cooler than average temperature anomaly, unfortunately. I think that's a bit pessimistic. If that pattern was to occur that we saw on the height anomaly, I think we will start to increase the temperatures a little bit. So that may be on the pessimistic side, but overall, still a relatively cool start to June being indicated. Rainfall anomalies again coming out a little bit drier than the average. And then we go through to the final 2 weekly period, basically one where the high pressure is sort of building in across the country with the above average heights setting up over the UK. And then we've got low pressure developing up to the northeast, somewhere around there, and the low pressure is out to the west and the south west of the country as well. So I said that the above average heights are building in, the high pressure is building in, but I think it's sort of being attacked in a bit of a pincer movement from both the northeast and from the southwest, but nevertheless the anomaly is above average heights to be in across the country. The temperature anomaly, very disappointing on that pattern, is still coming out mainly cooler than average, and I think that's very, very pessimistic given the pattern. I would expect very quickly through June, if the high pressure did build in, I would expect very quickly temperatures to recover. So I do think that is really on the pessimistic side, and I would expect if we've got high pressure, above average heights in over the country, I would expect a period of significantly warmer weather to take place sometime through the second week of June. The precipitation anomaly, very similar again, is coming out a little bit drier than average. And I expect it to be a significantly dry period, actually, with above average heights over the country. So I think the JMA is being a little bit mean to us today, actually. The anomalies, pressure anomalies are okay, but I think in terms of the temperature particularly, it's been very mean, and I would expect it to be a little bit warmer into June than that is suggesting, given the pattern that we're seeing. The CFS-V2 is in agreement with a lot of this. So for the first 500 millibar height anomaly chart, which is for, again, broken down to week periods, the first week period is from the 21st to the 27th of May, have the above average heights out to the west and the southwest of the country. The jet stream is coming through the UK like that. So again, it's relatively dry but quite cool period coming up during the course of the coming week, in agreement with what the JMA was seeing. Now this is a little bit different. This is the second weekly period going from the 28th of May through to the 3rd of June. Now this is the period where we've got the above average heights with the JMA out to the west and building to the northeast as well. And they do both agree on that sort of aspect, that we've got the two areas of high pressure there to the west and to the east. But what the CFS is doing is placing this trough in between over the top of UK and extending it down into central parts of Europe. So the jet stream here is going like this. And if this was the pattern, this would explain why the JMA is actually cool through this weekly period, where I thought if high pressure is sort of getting together and building into the country, it should be a little bit warmer through that period. But if this is the pattern, we've got this trough in the 500 millibar flow over the country and through Central Europe, then yes, that would be a cool week, and it would also be quite unsettled. And the wettest conditions, quite interestingly, could be to the south and the east country. That's quite a odd looking chart though, so I'm not sure how seriously we can take that. Again, the message I think really is for the heights to be rising to the west and to the northeast, so eventually hopefully we will build some sort of link between those two ridges, and indeed that is what happens as we go through to the next week period. It's all back on board, very similar to what we have from the JMA, with a large area of above average heights taking over the weather pattern around and to the northeast. So lovely area of high pressure in there across the country. The jet stream would be going something like that. So we are on the warm side of the jet there, and we're bringing in sort of a slack easterly, southeasterly flow. That could be a very nice week indeed from the 4th to the 10th of June. I would expect temperatures to go warmer than average, and will be a lot of dry weather around as well. But then it all starts to go a little bit dodgy as we get through to the 11th to the 17th of June. Signs that the above average heights are retrogressing. A retrogression, remember, is where we take the high pressure from east to west as opposed to the normal flow, which is west to east. So we lose the above average heights over Scandinavia, perhaps even a little bit of a trough setting up there, and we sort of hint that we take the heights over towards Greenland, and then we've got this trough of low pressure out to southwest. This is a transitional period, I would think, but overall I think this is breaking down the settled weather, the jet stream, probably going something like that. So with time, I would expect this trough of low pressure to start to move in from the south and the southwest into the UK. Rather like that, it turns increasingly cool and unsettled. There could be a thundery breakdown in there, I have to say that, on that sort of setup. There may be some thunder in the transition, but eventually, by the time we get through to, say, the 17th of June, on that basis, I would expect it to be turning increasingly unsettled and cooler. So I think overall, the broad theme is in line between the CFS and the JMA. They differ a little bit on the detail, but it's basically cool and fairly dry through to the end of May, very similar to what we've had in terms of the conditions through May. Then through June, and they differ about how we get there, but through the first couple of weeks of June, increasing signs of high pressure building in, turning it drier and warmer, and then possibly as we get through towards the middle of the month, we get a breakdown, maybe a thundery breakdown, but eventually it does break down and turns unsettled. The temperature anomalies from the CFS V2 stack up like this. The first week period obviously coming out cooler than average through towards the end of May. The second weekly period also comes out cooler than average, and I would agree with that on the pattern it was showing with that trough in the 500 millibar flow. That does make sense. So cool to the end of May, definitely. Into the start of June, again, this is a little bit mean. I would expect this to be a bit warmer than this is showing. Temperatures are recovering, but no more than average. And then we go through to that last period from the 11th to the 17th. This is the point where I thought we was breaking down the pattern, but we could get a thundery breakdown as it does break, and it turns warmer than average through that week period. The anomaly is warmer than average. Now remember, that's a breaking down period, so it probably doesn't stay warmer than average for all that long. But for a while, it could get very warm, actually, and I reckon there could be some thunder in there as well. So I think we're looking at some better weather, some better signals for better weather as we go into June. I think May is basically cool and not too wet as we go through to the end of the month. Sometime through June, and the models are different about how we get there, but sometime through the first couple of weeks of June, high pressure's building in, turning it drier and warmer, possibly a thundery breakdown as we get through to the middle part of the month, and then maybe a little bit more unsettled, and we'd have to see how long that goes on for, because as we get through to the end of June, we're coming into some very important periods, of course, in terms of events. We've got Glastonbury and Wimbledon during the final 2 weeks of June, and if things are breaking down around the middle of the month, obviously that could have impacts on those events, but don't want to say any more than that. Right, it's a weekend forecast tomorrow, so come back for that. Lots to digest in today's video. I hope you found it interesting. It's all experimental. These charts are experimental, so not to be taken too seriously, but that's how it's looking this week. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.